Stop what you're doing for the next 15 minutes. August 12th is 4 days away. And whether you've been following astrology for years or you stumbled onto this channel during the Barbalt basket, what's coming in 4 days is something you need to understand before it arrives. August 2026 carries the feeling of a month that refuses to remain on the surface. Some doors may open before we feel fully prepared, while others may close without offering the kind of explanation we hoped to receive. But here's the thing about eclipses, they don't hit everyone in the same place. The same event that opens a career door for one person closes a relationship chapter for another. What transforms your sense of identity for one sign restructures the finances of another. In this video, I'm going through all 12 signs. What the solar eclipse on August 12th is specifically opening and closing for each one. Find yours. And pay close attention, because what I'm about to describe is already beginning to move in your life right now. Before we get into your sign, if this channel has been helping you navigate this extraordinary astrological period, hit like right now. It helps this reach more people who need to understand what's coming. And subscribe. The next videos in this eclipse series are not ones you want to miss. Now, your sign. The 12 signs. I'm going through each sign in order. The choices made now may reach further than the moment itself, especially for those with important natal placements in Leo, Aquarius, Virgo, or Pisces. But every sign is being touched. Find yours. Aries, 5th house eclipse. For Aries, the eclipse activates your 5th house, the zone of creativity, romance, self-expression, and joy. What opens? A creative chapter that has been waiting for the right moment is beginning. A romantic connection deepens or arrives with unusual speed. The courage to express yourself authentically, not for approval, but because it is true, becomes suddenly available in ways it wasn't before. What closes? The version of yourself that created for external validation rather than internal truth. The relationship dynamic where you performed rather than connected. The creative project you kept small because you weren't sure it was good enough. The eclipse is asking Aries, what would you make, say, or love if you knew it would be celebrated? Start there. That is where August 12th is pointing. Taurus, 4th house eclipse. For Taurus, the eclipse hits your 4th house, home, roots, family, and the emotional foundations of your life. What opens? A new chapter in your living situation, family dynamics, or inner emotional life. Something about where you come from, literally or emotionally, is being reset at the foundation level. A sense of home that is more authentically yours is beginning to take shape. What closes? A living situation, family dynamic, or inner story about belonging that has slowly stopped feeling alive. The emotional patterns inherited from your family of origin that you've been carrying without choosing them. The eclipse is asking Taurus, what does home actually mean for who you are now, not who you were when you first built these foundations? Gemini, 3rd house eclipse. For Gemini, the eclipse activates your 3rd house, communication, ideas, writing, and your immediate environment. What opens? A new way of communicating that carries more authority and authenticity than before. An idea or creative direction that has been forming finally finds its voice. A significant conversation or written work arrives with unusual impact. What closes? The way of communicating that kept yourself small, the habit of softening your ideas before sharing them, of editing your words to be more acceptable rather than more true. With Mercury entering Leo on August 9th, just 3 days before the eclipse, Gemini's ruling planet is being charged by the same Leo energy as the eclipse itself. Your words carry extraordinary weight right now. Use them. Cancer, 2nd house eclipse. For Cancer, the eclipse lands in your 2nd house, values, finances, and self-worth. What opens? A new relationship with your own value, not just financially, but fundamentally. The eclipse is creating a reset in what you believe you deserve to earn, to receive, and to keep. A financial opportunity or shift arrives that requires you to act from a new sense of your own worth. What closes? The old story about what someone like you gets to have. The pattern of undercharging, undervaluing, or accepting less than your worth in both financial and emotional currencies. The eclipse is asking Cancer, If you actually believed you were worth what you are, what would you charge, ask for, or accept differently? Leo, first house eclipse. For Leo, the eclipse lands directly in your first house, identity itself. This is the most personally significant eclipse for Leo rising and Leo sun in years. What opens? The most authentic version of yourself, the one that has been developing quietly beneath the performance, beneath the management, beneath the version of you that was created for other people's comfort. That version is now ready to step fully forward. What closes? Who you were before this eclipse. Not dramatically, but permanently. The identity that was built around being seen, validated, and chosen by others. The eclipse is not taking anything from you. It is upgrading you. The eclipse is asking Leo, if you stopped performing your identity and simply lived it, what would immediately change? Virgo, 12th house eclipse. For Virgo, the eclipse activates your 12th house, the unconscious, hidden matters, spiritual life, and what operates beneath the surface. What opens? Access to a deeper layer of your own psyche, patterns, fears, and gifts that have been operating below conscious awareness. A spiritual practice or inner work takes on unusual depth and effectiveness. Something hidden about yourself or a situation surfaces with clarity. What closes? A secret you've been keeping from others or from yourself. A fear that has been running your decisions from the shadows. A pattern so deeply embedded you stopped seeing it as a pattern and started calling it your personality. For Virgo, August asks you to shine fully, then channel that light into sustainable form. The 12th house eclipse is the preparation for Virgo's own eclipse season arriving next month. Libra, 11th house eclipse. For Libra, the eclipse hits your 11th house, community, friendships, future networks, and collective purpose. What opens? A new community or network that genuinely aligns with who you are becoming, not who you were. A friendship that carries unusual depth and future significance. A collective project or purpose that feels genuinely meaningful rather than socially obligatory. What closes? Relationships and communities you've maintained for social harmony rather than genuine connection. The friend groups that require you to be a smaller or more palatable version of yourself to belong. The eclipse is asking Libra, where do you actually belong, not where do you fit most easily? Scorpio, 10th house eclipse. For Scorpio, the eclipse lands in your 10th house, career, public role, reputation, and life mission. What opens? A significant career shift, opportunity, or public recognition arrives. The work you've been building in private is ready for public expression. A professional door opens that requires the full depth of everything Scorpio carries, the intensity, the perception, the transformative capacity. What closes? A career path, professional identity, or public role that no longer reflects who you actually are. The work you've been doing for security rather than meaning. For Scorpio, the eclipse season of August 2026 may feel like a public reckoning. What you do is becoming visible in new ways, and what is no longer aligned is becoming equally impossible to maintain. Sagittarius, 9th house eclipse. For Sagittarius, the eclipse activates your 9th house, beliefs, philosophy, higher education, travel, and your relationship with truth. What opens? A new philosophical framework, a set of beliefs that more accurately reflects what you've actually lived and learned. A teaching, publishing, or traveling opportunity arrives. The wisdom you've accumulated is ready to be shared at a larger scale. What closes? A belief system you inherited rather than chose. A philosophy that once served as your map, but has gradually stopped describing the territory of your actual experience. The eclipse is asking Sagittarius, what do you actually believe now, after everything you've lived, versus what you've been saying you believe? Capricorn, 8th house eclipse. For Capricorn, the eclipse hits your 8th house, transformation, shared resources, deep intimacy, and what is inherited or owed. What opens? A significant financial shift involving shared money, inheritance, investment, debt resolution, or partnership finances. A depth of intimacy becomes available that Capricorn rarely allows. A transformative process that has been building underground reaches the surface. What closes? A financial entanglement or power dynamic in a close relationship that has been quietly draining your energy. The emotional armor that has protected you from genuine intimacy at the cost of genuine connection. The eclipse is asking Capricorn, what would you allow yourself to receive financially and emotionally if you stopped managing every outcome in advance? Aquarius, 7th house eclipse. For Aquarius, the eclipse lands in your 7th house, partnerships, marriage, significant one-to-one relationships, and open enemies. What opens? A significant partnership, romantic, professional, or collaborative, either deepens dramatically or arrives with unusual clarity and speed. The kind of partner who genuinely matches Aquarius's vision and independence becomes suddenly findable. What closes? A relationship dynamic that required Aquarius to suppress their originality to maintain the peace. A partnership built on who you are rather than who you are becoming. For Aquarius, the eclipse is both personal and collective. It arrives opposite your sign, illuminating what you've been giving to partnerships and what you've been keeping entirely to yourself. Pisces, 6th house eclipse. For Pisces, the eclipse activates your 6th house, daily work, health, routines, and service. What opens? A new daily structure that finally supports rather than drains Pisces' sensitive and creative nature. A health shift, physical or energetic, that brings the body into better alignment with the soul. A work opportunity that allows Pisces to serve from genuine strength rather than self-sacrifice. What closes? The daily routine that has been quietly depleting you. The work situation that asked for your sensitivity as a resource while offering nothing in return. The health pattern that was a symptom of a life lived slightly out of alignment with your actual nature. The eclipse is asking Pisces, what would your daily life look like if it was designed around who you actually are rather than who is easiest to accommodate? Here's the piece that changes everything about what I just described for your sign. What I gave you today is the house the eclipse activates for each rising sign. That is the room in your chart where the door is opening or closing. But the eclipse doesn't just activate a house, it lands on specific degrees. And if you have any natal planets between 15 and 25 degrees of Leo, Aquarius, Scorpio, or Taurus, the eclipse is making direct personal contact with something in your chart. That direct contact means this is not background astrology for you. This is a foreground event in your life. A specific chapter ending. A specific door opening. And you need to know which ones, not in general, but precisely, personally, for your exact birth date. The choices made under this eclipse may reach further than the moment itself. Which means understanding your personal activation isn't optional. It's the difference between riding this wave consciously and being swept by it without knowing where you're going. Moon reading gives you a free personalized reading built around your exact birth date. It shows you precisely where 20 degrees Leo falls in your chart, which natal planets the eclipse is activating, and what your soul's design says about what this chapter is opening and closing for you. And here's something I want to say honestly, this channel exists because of the trust you place in this content. Every video, every piece of research, every astrological event we've tracked together through the Barbalt Basket, the Lion's Gate, and now into eclipse season, it's all built on this community. There are two ways to support what we're building here. The first is completely free. Hit like and subscribe if you haven't already. The second gives you something back. The link in the description is your free moon reading. It costs you nothing. When you use it, it helps keep this channel going. And what you get is a reading that tells you exactly what this eclipse is doing in your specific life. You get clarity. We get to keep making this content together. For days from now, the sky goes dark at noon. And for each of the 12 signs in 12 completely different areas of life, a door is opening and another is closing. For Aries, creativity and authentic expression. For Taurus, home and emotional foundations. For Gemini, communication and ideas. For Cancer, self-worth and values. For Leo, identity itself. For Virgo, the unconscious and hidden patterns. For Libra, community and belonging. For Scorpio, career and public mission. For Sagittarius, beliefs and philosophy. For Capricorn, transformation and shared resources. For Aquarius, partnerships. For Pisces, daily life and health. Every door the eclipse opens requires one thing from you: the willingness to walk through it before you feel ready. Because eclipses don't wait for readiness. They wait for willingness. Drop your rising sign in the comments and tell me which part of your description landed most accurately. This community has been tracking every step of this cosmic story together. Share what's true for you. If this video gave you clarity about what's coming, like it and share it with someone who needs to understand what August 12th means for their sign. You have 4 days to get this to the people who need it. Next video: what to do in the final days before the eclipse. The specific preparation that makes the difference between experiencing this as disruption and experiencing it as the upgrade it actually is. Until then, find the door. It's already beginning to open.